The Spanish Empire was born not in a moment of sudden conquest, but through centuries of slow, grinding struggle that began in 711 AD, when Muslim Umayyad forces crossed the Strait of Gibraltar and defeated the Visigothic kingdom of Iberia, establishing Al-Andalus and forcing the fragmented Christian principalities of the north into a prolonged fight for survival known as the Reconquista, a campaign defined by shifting borders, religious warfare, cultural exchange, and brutal attrition that lasted nearly 800 years until the late 15th century, when the marriage of Isabella I of Castile and Ferdinand II of Aragon in 1469 unified Spain's two most powerful kingdoms into a centralized monarchy capable of projecting authority beyond medieval limits, a union that culminated in 1492 with the fall of Granada, the last Muslim stronghold in Iberia, an event that symbolized not only the completion of Christian reconquest, but the ideological foundation of an empire built on Catholic orthodoxy, military expansion, and royal absolutism, a foundation reinforced the same year by the expulsion of Jews and later Muslims to enforce religious uniformity, and by the Spanish crown's sponsorship of Christopher Columbus, whose westward voyage in search of a route to Asia instead revealed the existence of the Americas and unintentionally opened the door to global empire, transforming Spain from a regional European power into the architect of the first truly worldwide imperial system, as subsequent expeditions rapidly mapped and claimed vast territories across the Caribbean, Central America, and South America under the legal authority of papal bulls and the Treaty of Tordesillas of 1494, which divided newly discovered lands between Spain and Portugal and granted Spain dominion over most of the Western Hemisphere, a claim soon enforced by a new class of warrior explorers known as conquistadors, whose campaigns blended medieval crusading mentality with early modern military technology, exemplified by Hernán Cortés' expedition into Mexico in 1519, where, through a combination of strategic alliances with indigenous enemies of the Aztec Empire, the psychological shock of firearms and horses, internal political instability, and the devastating spread of Old World diseases like smallpox, he captured Emperor Montezuma II and destroyed Tenochtitlan by 1521, collapsing one of the most sophisticated civilizations in the Americas and replacing it with the viceroyalty of New Spain, a pattern repeated in South America when Francisco Pizarro exploited a civil war within the Inca Empire to capture Atahualpa in 1532, execute him despite an enormous ransom of gold and silver, and dismantle the largest empire in pre-Columbian history, allowing Spain to seize control of Peru and access the mineral wealth of the Andes, particularly the Silver Mountain of Potosi and the mines of Zacatecas, whose output flooded Europe with precious metals, fueling what became known as the Price Revolution, inflating currencies, destabilizing traditional economies, and paradoxically weakening Spain's domestic industries even as it became the richest empire the world had ever known, an empire now stretching from Mexico to Patagonia, from the Caribbean to the Pacific coast, from southern Italy and the Low Countries to North Africa and the Philippines, bound together by an unprecedented global trade network linking American silver to European markets and Asian goods via the Manila galleons, while the Spanish crown constructed an elaborate administrative system of viceroyalties, audiencias, and colonial bureaucracy designed to extract resources, enforce royal authority, and spread Catholicism through missionary orders like the Franciscans, Dominicans, and Jesuits, whose conversion campaigns reshaped indigenous societies while often destroying traditional religions and social structures, all under the watchful eye of the Spanish Inquisition, which policed orthodoxy at home and abroad, and reinforced Spain's self-image as the chosen defender of the Catholic faith against Islam, Judaism, and Protestantism, a mission that became central to Spanish imperial identity during the reign of Charles I of Spain, also known as Holy Roman Emperor Charles V, whose inheritance created a transcontinental Habsburg Empire encompassing Spain, the Netherlands, Austria, much of Italy, and vast colonial possessions overseas, an empire so vast that Charles famously remarked the sun never set upon it, yet one plagued by constant warfare against France, the Ottoman Empire, and Protestant reformers, wars financed by American silver and loans from European bankers that drained Spanish resources and entrenched a cycle of debt, a burden inherited by his son Philip II, who ruled from 1556 to 1598 and presided over the height of Spanish power, annexing Portugal in 1580 and thus gaining control of its global trade routes and colonies in Africa, Asia, and Brazil, establishing Madrid as the administrative